Okie dokie, Lexi. Moving on to the next one, lesson 58, number 23. I did reset this on your grade book, so if you want to go in and make corrections and give it another shot, it should be open and available for you to do that. Okay, so what we have here, according to our given information, is we have a rhombus. It's called TCBV. So we see the rhombus is here. If I highlight it, it's this part here is a rhombus. Remember, with a rhombus, all four sides are congruent. We are also told that you have a line segment, CU, which is perpendicular to BV. So that would be CU is right here, and it's perpendicular. Remember, if lines are perpendicular, that means they have created two right angles. This one shows one, but it does mean that both sides of that line are right angles. The same is true for CS is perpendicular to TV. So let's just look at that. CS is perpendicular to TV. So we have two right angles here as well. What we want to prove is that CU, let's mark that so we can look at it, that CU is congruent to CS. So if you have any idea of where we might be heading with this, I'm hoping that you're thinking like I am. I see we have a triangle here and we have a triangle here, and I'll bet you we need to prove some corresponding parts of those congruent we need to prove that those two triangles are congruent. So let's go ahead and get started and see how we can move along with that. Let's go ahead and list the first piece of information. Is our given, and it's already listed there for us. We just need to state that the reason that rhombus, we have a rhombus TCBV, and all the parts that I've already talked about with the perpendicular lines here were given up here in this information. So we'll just write given there. Okay, now, because we have perpendicular lines that created right angles. So let's write in what that creates. So CST, we do see it has one written here, but quite honestly, what we're really concerned with, let me just highlight that right here and right here. But remember, as I said a minute ago, this is also going to be a right angle right down here. Do you see where I marked that? Okay, that's going to be a right angle, and we are more concerned about that one than we are this one, because this one over here is inside the triangle, and we're trying to prove parts of those two triangles congruent. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and leave that marked there. I'm going to mark this over here, and I'm going to write in here that CST, okay, which was this one here, and this one over here, are congruent, and that is CUB, like cub, like a little bear. Okay, and why is that? Because perpendicular lines intersect to form right angles. Okay, the next step, 3, the statement we want to write here is that since CST and CUB are right angles, well then that means they're both 90 degrees. So they're also congruent. So all right angles are congruent. Now let's look at CB for a minute. CB is this line segment right here, and CT must be congruent. Why is that? Because remember we said a little bit ago that in a rhombus, all four sides of a rhombus are congruent. So that is simply the definition of a rhombus. Number 5, let's look here. So angle T. Remember, I'm just trying to prove different parts of our triangles congruent. I do know that angle T and angle B are congruent. Why? Because if a quadrilateral is a rhombus or a parallelogram, then both pairs of opposite angles are congruent. And finally, do we have enough parts then to say that these triangles are congruent? So what I have, I should go back up here and mark these sides right here. So what I have here is I have angle. I have an angle here, an angle here. Should mark those as well. and sides. So if I say them in order, and the proper shortcut name is angle, angle, side, right here, down in our reasons, angle, angle, side. So now we know we have enough to say that triangle CTS and triangle CBU are congruent triangles. And based on those two congruent triangles, that means that all corresponding parts are going to be congruent as well, which means that, let me erase some of this so we can write in here. I'm going to mark up what the proof statement was, that CU, where is that? CU, right here, and CS are congruent as well. And why is that? Because corresponding parts of congruent triangles are also congruent. And that is it for lesson 58, number 23. Thanks for watching, Lexi.